It is I, Wumbo, on the cast here, solo cast, mind you, bringing you the action of T7 versus NKT T1K. This is Ascension eSports Dragon League.
Let me at 'em.
Gonna see what both these teams are starting off with. Just to as a preface, I believe T7 is working with one less ban. Athro Guard is not a listed sub, so one less ban for them to have. Are going to start off with a Jax ban. Don't believe that is a target ban. Gamma Chaos doesn't normally play that often. Just seems actually in a solo queue mostly plays the jungle, which is kind of interesting. Plays a lot of Galio, Fiora, and Gangplank. Seem to be his wheelhouse with some pretty good stats on each of those champions. However, both are getting left up.
Soon.
Zyraban, she's fallen towards the wayside a little bit because of the playmaking abilities of supports nowadays, in the likes of the Thresh.
Well, now I'm just mad.
Zac ban, fairly standard, almost just 100% permaban everywhere among all levels of play, so not too surprised to see that, but I would like to see T7 pull out a top lane ban, prioritize that a little bit. It's worth noting right now. Well, actually, I'll get to that after pick phase, just so we can get things a little bit more current. Draven ban. I'm not sure if that's a target ban for the last CDC, but Crush of the Bomb is actually I believe he's an E sub. So not sure what his wheelhouse is like. Do a quick look up. Okay, so he mostly plays, yeah, he actually doesn't play Draven at all, so it seems to be just an interesting ban, but Native Wolf, T7 are going to lock in the Renekton first pick, which is pretty high priority. I think they didn't ban out Gamma Chaos as champions because they think that they can use Renekton's dominant laning phase to sort of counteract that, but looks like they are just going to go with the Fiora anyway, as this is a little bit difficult for the Fiora. It is the counter pick, definitely for the Fiora. You know, Renekton gets enough HP and, you know, pretty similar item builds that he can't be dueled that easily, and if you get him down, he can always use that Dominus to heal himself back up, but King Arya is going to lock that Shaco, and fair trigger warning, King Arya is pretty much a Shaco one-trick, has most of his games on Shaco this season. Yeah, that is 105 games, 65% win rate. It's pretty good. I mean, I'm actually a big fan of Shaco myself. It's an extremely fun champion. I'm excited to see how his item build is going to go. There's a lot of debate for what item build is most optimal on him, but you're going to see that Xin Zhao get locked for Athro Guard and Malzahar for a Jazz. Unfortunately, T7 doesn't have their starting mid laner in Playmaker, who actually had a pretty good showing last week against the number 4 team. So if they had him, he would be a great asset. They're going to get Jazz on that Malzahar pick, who's pretty good right now. Really, really strong in mid lane and actually even top lane. With his sustained damage, actually makes him a pretty good top lane threat. Second round bans are going to be on the Caitlyn. RM Azrael, the ADC for T7, does have a fair amount on Caitlyn. I believe most of his games are actually on Caitlyn. Yeah, this is true. Yeah, most of his games are on Ezreal. Most of Ezreal's games on ADC are with that Caitlyn, but he's got other ADCs in his wheelhouse, so nothing too worrisome there. They're going to throw away that ban, yeah, because they did lose one ban. And the Braum for NKT T1K, excuse me, so strong right now. Braum just fits so well into so many comps that peel for those ADCs, because now we've been seeing some very, backline, traditional-oriented ADCs, the likes of Tristana, Ashe, which just got banned away, Caitlyn, which of those aren't there, but Jinx is still open, who sort of fits that long range, Hypercarry niche, Kog'Maw as well. Braum has such great peel for them. If you guys checked out the Samsung versus SKT game, where SKT actually got knocked out of first place in a sweep. I haven't seen SKT get swept in a really long time in any series, but yeah, they did. It was using like this double threat CC comp between Sejuani and Braum. So definitely a powerhouse when it comes to CC with that pick. Glacial Fissure. Concussive blows into the passive is extremely strong. And that's going to sort of thwart what Xinjiao wants to do if they want to try to go for those ganks in that bot lane. But now we're going to see. I think they would be picking the ADC now. Would imagine it would go something along the lines of a Twitch. Well, it's actually going to go to an Orianna pick, which that's going to be interesting. The interactions between Orianna and Shaco. Let's see, I'm trying to think of what other ADCs. Twitch is still open, which I know Azrael likes to play. Yep, there's Twitch. Which I'm not entirely sure about that one. There's going to have to be some sort of peel support, something like a Lulu. Or maybe even a Tahm Kench. Actually, I think a Tahm Kench would be a fantastic pick here. Get that double melee lane. Or even a Morgana, but I could see that being a little bit weaker because Morgana's pretty prone to all-ins if you can pick her out. Country Boy, yep. Tomcat Zillion. Fantastic pick. Gives some CC an extra poke towards the Braum. I'm actually really excited to see that. It's a fantastic pick. Oh man, if they pick this Kalista, NKT is going to have a huge team fighting comp. That is going to be a difficult one to fight. So we are seeing both teams locked in. Just to give you guys the rundown, Native Wolf in top lane for T7. Astrogard subbing in the jungle. Jazz 10022 subbing in for Playmaker in the mid lane. RM Azrael and the ADC and Country Boy for the win on support. On the other side of the rift, on the red side, we have Gamma Chaos in the top lane, King Arya on in the jungle, Ariana Grande in the mid lane, Crusher the Bomb subbing in on ADC, and Cracked Apple on support. Now, just taking both these team comps for face value right now, disregarding the players, I would have to give a very, very large team fighting edge over towards NKT. Just the Wumbo combo potential, Fate's Call into Glacial Fissure into Shockwave, and even the sneaky Shaco plays that you can make, putting the ball on him, and if you're to split push while all of that is going on, or even join the fray in those team fights. Unfortunately, there is still that bug where we can't see the summoner spells on red side. The Spectator, however, it is worth noting that Jazz didn't take teleports, so that global pressure is not going to be there. However, I imagine that Ariana Grande also didn't take teleports, so it's just going to be a bit of a defensive summoner spell trade there. But I'd imagine that Astrogard is going to want to prioritize his top lane. Fiora is an extremely snowbally pick, and if you do not prioritize her early and try to shut her down, she can give you the runaround to completely carry games with her split push and dueling potential. Then afterwards, you're going to have to dedicate so many resources to dealing with her. Luckily for T7, they do have a good counter lane in Renekton. You know, it's extremely difficult for a Fiora player to try to riposte the W stun from Renekton and deal with his pretty constant poke as well as his manaless sustain. So the tools are within T7's box to deal with Gamma Chaos's Fiora pick. However, the variable being thrown to that is King Arya's Shaco. Shaco excels at early game ganks, which is what you're gonna want to be doing to get this Fiora snowballing over the Renekton and, you know, taking control of that game. And this is even better for Shaco because this is just right after the lethality buffs, and one of Shaco's best items, I would say, in my opinion, you know, not exactly the Shaco one trick, but Duskblade, extremely strong in him, the auto attack passive, as well as having the lethality to delete these targets. And if you can get a level lead it's going to be extremely strong, and especially with this top lane 2v2, Shaco versus Renekton and Xinjiao is pretty one-sided towards the Renekton and Xinjiao, considering that both of them are sort of assassin-like on the side of NKT1, and they can live through that damage. And if they don't focus their, if NKT1 top and jungle duo don't focus their damage into one single target, they're going to end up dying just because they have such strong sustain on the side of T7, and they'll get focused on themselves as them being extremely squishy, but are ticking down. So we will be getting into this game. I'm really excited for this. You know, it's number 9 team. I believe T7 is the number 9 team, and NKT is the number 7. Do a double check. T7 number 9, NKT number 7. So should be a close one, I'd imagine. I'm very much hoping for it. So close games are always a little bit more fun to cast than absolute crushes. It looks like I'm gonna have a little bit of a bug with my client, with my game real quick. For some reason it went to windowed mode. It's always annoying. Right, please fix your spectator. Yep, we are gonna load in here. Let's get this transitioned over for you guys. This is gonna be a bit wonky as for the time being. Should get it sorted out once we're in the game itself. Although I think I might be able to fix it from... No, I can't fix it from the client while it's in. So talk about this bot lane just a little bit. Ezreal very experienced on this Twitch. Definitely gonna have to look out for that, but the Zillion into Braum is definitely where you're gonna want to be looking because of the pressure that Zillion exerts over Braum. It's a pretty classic melee versus ranged lane, which can be extremely difficult for the ranged, or for the melee support rather. Country Boy did actually go with Exhaust, whereas Cracked Apple went with Ignite, and he's no slouch on that Braum. He's got most of his solo queue games in there. But it's a pretty strong combo with the slows that Braum brings, as well as the mobility that Kalista has herself to continue and chase, get those stacks to that Braum passive on there and stun up those targets, keeping him there so she can stack up those Ren spears. Hope you guys are having a good night. It's still sunny out. It's that summer sun. Yeah, I imagine that King Arya is going to be wanting to try to invade onto Astrogard, but it can be a little bit difficult when you're this Shaco getting destroyed by that CC, because, you know, normally with assassin champions like Elise, well, towards the early game, depending on how you build her, Elise, Shaco, Kha'Zix, CC is the bane of their existence, and it destroys them pretty much whenever they get CC'd and focused down, because the mobility is key to their playstyle. But should be getting in here soon. Just gonna fix up some settings real quick. Get back to that beautiful borderless. See, I think it's interesting that Cracked Apple brought Ignite into this matchup, and it is a little bit farm oriented towards the beginning, but he wants to try to give some pressure onto this Twitch early on, because it's the way that you shut him down. You know, late game hyper carries, gotta shut him down early in that laning phase, and just try to keep him in that spot where they can't tear your team apart with a spray and pray or Jinx rockets or what have you. So you are going to see standard Fana from both teams, heavy prioritization from NKT and in this bot side. And no, T7 knows they're there. King Arya should be putting the boxes on there, or could potentially just do a different strat, or he's just waiting depending on to see where they're going. seeing the oath being taken here. And for this NKT lineup, really when they start coming online is at level 6, where you get Shaco Clone, Glacial Fisher Fates calling that bot lane is really when they're going to start trying to make those plays. Especially with that, similarly in the mid lane, Orianna, Shockwave, Nether Grasp. So be looking out for those. See if they can set up around those windows as well. You know, that's kind of sort of the next level to understanding your power spikes is preparing for them. It's going to be standard leash for T7. However, no leash for King Arya as he's got those boxes. With these jungle pads, they should both finish at the top side. So we might see some early action as both these junglers want to get these level 3 ganks to try to get their respective top laners snowballing. So far it's just easy farming. Really crazy too happening, you know, at this most of these games, these Dragon League, actually a heavy trade going out onto Jazz. Ariana Grande was able to get the level 2 very early. So something similar going on in the top lane. This Gamma Chaos has that level 2. See if she can try to leverage this advantage. Is an easy vital for it? Just not gonna go for it? No, not gonna go for it. Now we're seeing mirrored, or I call them parallel jungle paths, where at the end of them both junglers are going to finish at the same side. So this is what we're going to be looking out for. Level 3 gank or potential invade. Well, I think both just play it safe, however. I'm not entirely in agreement with that kind of play as a jungler. You kind of want to be doing things early, snowballing for your team. Seems to be a little scuffle. Both junglers get spotted out. I think it was a little bit of a contest over the Scuttle Crab. Looks like Atherguard's actually going to position here for a gank. Potentially warded out. Gamma Chaos wards that Tri-Brush. This is a little bit of a struggle for Ezreal and Country Boy, as they don't really have enough lane pressure to stay shoved out, so they're just going to get continually shoved in. And if King Arya plays it correctly, it's going to give him opportunities to invade onto that bot side, potentially give Atherguard a hard time. But they'll actually see a gank in here coming from Atherguard. Ooh, an early riposte means that Gamma Chaos is actually going to go down. Similarly, in the mid lane, King Arya ganks onto Jazz, but that's only going to result in a ghost burn. So, good gank from Atherguard. Unfortunately, Gamma Chaos riposted too early. She's trying to riposte the stun from Renekton rather than the knockup from Atherguard, which is a lot easier to riposte actually. Right now, pressure is mounting in mid and bot for NKT. Especially this Orion has already got 8 CS lead. I think it's going to grow considering that Malzahar takes a while to scale, and after Oriana gets the Lost Chapters, when she really starts to ramp up, at least in these early levels. And obviously after she gets the Morel and Omicron, things get a little bit dicey. There's a lot of spears going into Azrael right now as he goes really low, chunked by those spears. Now Cracked Apple actually wants to dive this, but Crusher the Bomb didn't have the same idea. A little bit of a miscommunication there, going in split directions. See, actually, Atherguard's posturing for a gank here. Looks like he wants to get on the Ariana Grande, but I don't think he'll be able to. She's positioning towards the opposite side of the lane. Does have level 5. See if he can make this work here. And you see King Arya over there just farming away. No counter gank, but is going to get called out on that. Right now, Atherguard actually has a back over King Arya. They don't have vision on him, so couldn't go for the invade. They had vision on him. Good pings coming out from Native Wolf. Calling out Gamma Chaos that he's warding that. Similarly in the mid lane, Jazz is calling out that there's some wards being put down on the top side of mid lane. Jazz actually in a pretty bad spot here considering he has no mana. And Ariana Grande just hit level 6, so he's in all-in territory really. I mean, she doesn't have a very aggressive summoner spell, just exhaust, but it does help for all-ins very much so. Can slow and help to land those crucial shockwaves. What's really important here is that King Arya just got caught out on a ward, going for an invade. I think they know he's there. Yep, they think he's there. That's why everyone is pathing downwards. Just hit the boxes. Yeah, right now the control is within NKT. They're having some really hard winning lanes in mid lane and bot. You can see CS leads in both of those respectively. Now their mid laner and ADC actually have the same CS. What a weird coincidence. This is kind of par for the course though when you have these kinds of scaling lanes. The only variation in that regard is in the top lane. Previously mentioned before. On the bot side. The bot side of T7 is actually lit up. So you can see all those wards. Scared of the invade from Shaco. As he's padding down towards this bot side once more. He's going to take a Scuttlecraft for his troubles. Nothing much more going to happen. So are about to hit the level 6 mark. Mountain Dragon on the table. And with Mountain Dragon, you know, neither team really has that strong of a siege. It's not like they have that Caitlyn. And actually, there's a little bit of an engage happening down here. Ezreal actually has 6, while the enemy bot lane does not have 6. Just a little bit of poke trying to defend those wards that were in the tri-brush. Ultimately, nothing more going to come of that, though. Shaco just showing his face on here. I imagine Athergard should go for an invade, seeing Shaco bottom. Yep, is going to go for that invade. Check his red buff. He's going to find that it's there, while King Arya actually going to stay down here. This is not very good, actually, for the bot lane, because he's going to start leeching a little bit of XP from them, which is pretty bad. Oh, there goes the Fate's Call. He hit the level 6, gets the Glacial Fissure down onto Azrael, and he's going very low here. Ignite is ticking, but they flashed for it. Now they're moving on the Country Boy. Crusher the Bomb is laying down the spears right inside of it. Doesn't pull all of them out. That was just T7 not respecting the level 6 power spike. And it looks like King Arya actually wants to continue going for this. Country Boy now has level 6 himself, so if they go for this, he's going to have that ulti to save himself. He does hit it. They are going to proc it. Similarly, the clone goes down. I believe the clone is tanking tower now. No, it is not. King Arya are going to get away with that dive, and that spells very bad news for T7. They want to get this Twitch scaling, get him into a safe lane so he can hit that late game fantasy and start chunking out people. It's going to delay that so much so. Seem to be losing lanes both sides. NKT in very good spot here now with this bot lane in control. They could go for a Mountain Drake pretty easily. Now the interesting thing about this mid lane right now is that Jazz actually has a back in over Ariana Grande, so he could go for potential all-in, seeing as she's half health right now. You know, she does have that CS lead, but I mean, CS leads are gold. Gold translates into items, but they only translate if you've spent that gold, so gold unspent really just means nothing. I mean, you could argue a potential level lead, but I don't even think she has that. Do a quick check here to see if she does. She actually gets chunked out pretty heavily by the drain. It doesn't have a level lead. So in a pretty bad spot here. Jazz actually should be continuing shoving up that lane. She's gonna back. Oh, actually, T7 are trying to sneak this dragon out, but there's vision on it. They didn't put a control ward, and this could mean another fight. The ultis are up. Crusher has his fates called. There it is. He's going down. Cracked apples in the fray. Country Boy actually ends up using his ult. What? Crusher the Bomb stole the Mountain Dragon. She's flashing towards the other side, getting chased out by Arthur Guard, but the passive is able to save Crusher the Bomb. She's going on a killing spree. Meanwhile, and still in the pit, Gamma Chaos channeled his teleport, came down to pick up the kill onto Country Boy. So a dragon and 3 kills for NKT. This is looking very poor right now. Oh, in the mid lane as well, there is a trade happening, and Jazz forced a flash to Shockwave from Ariana Grande, continually exerting his control over this lane. And he's getting chunked out, forced to burn those pots, should probably back. This is going to be the first tower falling for the bot side. NKT picking this one up. 0 response. Besides Native Wolf potentially shoving this out, but it's not really going to result in the much. Sizable wave, but I can't see that tower getting lower than, I don't know, 75% HP, maybe 80. Or rather losing 80% of its HP. Curious to see if it's actually going to go down, but as you can already see, Ariana Grande doesn't actually path up. Thought she was gonna go to clear the wave out. Oh, look at this smart macro. I love this from NKT. They actually are swapping their bot lane to top. Gonna give Gamma Chaos that room to farm, and this is gonna make it extremely difficult for Native Wolf to CS himself and try to get this tower down. Actually looks like they're trying to pull the trigger on this dive. Arya trying to get in behind him, but only lays down the 2 shiv. That means this tower is probably going to fall as well. There's not much they can do here. This is kind of the detriment of the weak early game that T7 had drafted. Potential rumps here, and there's the engaged Native Wolf going down onto King Arya. He activates the Shaco clone, but a 2-man Shockwave is going to stop Authorguard from going over. The clone pops. Native Wolf himself going very, very low. Ignite from Cracked Apples ticking on him, and Crusher the Bomb finishes him off. 2 for 0. They're going to go for the Rift Herald instead of the tower. Smart choice, as they could go for the tower, then go for the Rift Herald, go mid, get more tower. I think they are going to give that one over to their jungler. But again, 0 response from T7 as they don't have enough pressure or advantages. They're so behind now, these scaling champions, that they can't make much happen. This is such a difficult spot for them to be in, because they want to scale with this Twitch, but they're just losing towers left and right now. Some good macro game from NKT. They need to be doing snowballing against the scaling comp. That's how you stop it. Trying to get this tower down. They should have put another member up there to try to get it down a little bit faster, but I think T7 rather actually in a little bit of a carrying mode, I would say, or just kind of demoralized from how poorly this early game is going. It is going to be the top tower falling, however. T7 does have a glimmer of hope in this mid lane as that tower is about to fall. You can see Aetherguard actually pathing there himself, but the wave clear from Ariana Grande could prove difficult. They are actually going to get that tower down. They could go for an all-in. They are all-inning onto Ariana Grande, but here's King Arya to stop it. They're just going to run away from this one unless King Arya wants to deceive into them. Nope, Aetherguard protecting his mid laner. Let's see what the next dragon is, shall we? It's going to be an Infernal Drake, which is going to be even more crucial to the snowball of NKT. And really, this just goes back to the draft. Snowball that you're seeing goes back to the draft of NKT picking a really strong bot lane. I would say, argue one of the strongest right now. And it's so hard for them, for T7. to try to make something happen here, being this far behind. We'll have to transition here just because it's not allowed to show the pause for validity's sake, you know, just in case anyone's ghosting the stream. Don't want them getting some information that they shouldn't have. I'm just getting into the while we're taking a little bit of a break, gonna pop over to the Twitch chat. This is patch 7.14, I believe. Actually, there seems to be a little bit of an issue between the. Did it freeze? Yeah, there's a you can sign up. There's a link, or a Reddit. Yeah, there's a sorry, a subreddit, Ascension eSports. So just reddit.com/r/Ascension eSports. Believe we saw Game House has reconnected. I hope you guys are enjoying my friends list. But yeah, Game House has reconnected. So you're gonna see. We can get back into this one, just so you guys know. The ruling on pauses are, if it exceeds 5 minutes, then it's an automatic. The team that is pausing has to continue regardless. Or if they exceed 3 pauses, whichever one comes first, they have to continue 1 man down or whatever the issue is. So it is getting to 27:25 right now is the timer, so they have about a minute, 2 minutes and a half to get Game Chaos into this one before they have to start playing into 4v5. And really, if NKT ends up playing this as a 4v5, would be very unlucky. Considering they are winning, and that's kind of what you want as T7, is hope for that lucky disconnect. Otherwise, they can just try to continue scaling, but really it's extremely difficult for them. You know, they have all 3 scaling lanes, jungle, mid, ADC, Azrael right now, only sitting on components for Bork. And Crush the Bomb actually is now disconnected as well. Game of the Chaos. Another disconnect. Looking unfortunate right now, but take stock. What's going on? NKT, very, very far ahead in the lead. It hasn't even hit 20 minutes yet, and they're already sitting on a 5,000 gold lead. And mind you, they're playing with a sub ADC. This isn't even their main ADC, and they're doing this well. Well, there actually is a clarification on the pause rules in the chat. It is taking down 50 seconds on this timer, so we may have to continue. 2 men down. I believe Crush the Bomb has not yet reconnected. Game of Chaos, I think, is connected, but unfortunate. But this is just the way it goes. So as it stands right now, ticking downwards towards that 25-minute mark. Oh, so a little bit of a mix-up. The reason I'm solo casting is because Desden on the other stream for Dragon League had to leave last minute, and so we took Hupalicious, who was supposed to be my casting partner, and put him over onto the other one because Desert needed the color. So I'm explaining why I don't have the overlay. Hupalicious is the streamer when we cast together, and so I haven't updated my stream stuff in a while, which is why. So I apologize. It wasn't a planned thing, me streaming, but you know, I mean, hey, you guys could have had no stream. Huh? Would you like that? No stream? Would that have been better? Yeah, we are back into this. Thankfully, I think everyone is here. NKT is actually just disconnected once more. So I believe they are playing without the top lane now. It's going to make this very difficult as Athroguard, off the hubris of a disconnect, tries to go in on the cracked apple. There are multiple members of T7 top lane, as well as pressure mounting in the bot lane, and it's actually extremely crucial that they don't have Gamma Chaos with that Fiora, because he exerts so much pressure and immense amounts of pressure with his potential tower taking ability and the Tiamat clears waves extremely fast. And if he was here, top lane or bot lane, however, would be different story. But unfortunately, this is what we're working with. I can imagine that NKT are in an even worse demoralizing spot, but here's King Arya to try to stop some of this. And right now the gold lead has shrunk a little bit, going down from 5,000 to 4,500. They are trying to find a pick here on Ariana Grande. Our throw guard is able to get all 3 talent strikes on it, but a 3-man shockwave chunks 3 members of T7 down to half health. Ulti from Cracked Apple goes onto Twitch, but there's the Fates call to catch out too. Jazz is here though, joins the fray, catches out Crusher. This is actually going to be a 1 fight for T7. 3-for-1 trade here. Extremely good for them. And Kinger actually calls on the Rift Herald. Harriet, you solemn beast, try to clear out this mid wave. Okay, now actually T7's going to move on to this dragon. How it's kind of risky. They do have the pressure. Actually, scratch that. I might be a bit of an idiot. How is this risky? Someone explain to me. They have 3 members down. NKT is nowhere near this dragon. It is an easy pickup for them. They're definitely snowballing off the disconnects like they should be. It's going to equalize this a little bit more. It's a good thing to see here. Pings are going onto that top side from NKT. Could have a potential pick onto Native Wolf. Even with the disconnects, still giving Native Wolf the runaround. Gamma Chaos really strong, building towards that Triforce. Actually doesn't have any boots, which I find to be extremely interesting, but I'll just say the beats, but King Arya might be getting caught a little bit here. NKT is pushing a little bit too far into this bot side. I would think they'd need a little bit more wards to try to make those kinds of plays, but luckily the mobility of Shaco helps him out quite a bit. They are going to try to attempt a siege onto this mid lane tower. However, T7 are wise to it as Aetherguard goes in. King Arya very low. Gets baited though by the low health bar. Picked out himself. As Ezreal comes in here. That ulti. Country Boy. Nicely played. Presses right click on his mid laner. Gives him some nice XP. It's actually very underrated. The extra level that it gives you, especially if one of your allies is on one of those levels before an ulti gain. So say level 11 or level 15, level 5. That actually helps a lot, especially if you've got someone like Malzahar, where a lot of his damage comes from his ulti or stacking abilities underneath his ulti. Or especially Twitch on his spray and pray. Gives him a lot more damage. I believe it gives him scaling range as well, but Jazz could be in a little bit of trouble here. Nope, simply walks out of that. So we look towards the items. Ezreal has finished his Bork, so a good power spike here, but Ariana Grande forced the flash over. A little bit curious about that, considering there's no mana left, but Crush of the Bomb is getting aggressed upon here. But King Arya uses his ulti, starts to chunk out Ezreal. Country Boy has the ult on to save his AD carry, but Crush of the Bomb is still extremely strong and kills Ezreal very easily. Now T7 in retreat, trying to clear out this wave. I believe T7 are trying to work using that pressure from that top side to try to force that engage. But pressure is on the other side of the map as well, where Gamma Chaos is shoving down this bot lane tower pretty hard. Hasn't yet finished his Triforce. I believe he has enough gold when he backs to go for it. Yep, has enough gold for boots and his Triforce when he gets back to base. Vision coverage right now for both teams pretty sparse, besides some wards around the top side, but it's really just been trading of pressure, as T7 has been very scared of the engages from NKT, and with good reason considering how fed Crush of the Bomb is. But they've had a little bit of picks themselves, sitting at 4 and 10, or 4 versus 10 in terms of team kills. I mean, all in all, with the scaling that T7 have, hold that thought. Ariana Grande getting chunked out right now from Arthur Garden. She dies extremely quickly, unexpected plays, but that's the power of Blood Razor Xinjiao. Now Cracked Apple pulls the Glacial Fisher, trying to catch someone out, but he gets caught out himself. There goes down Crusher the Bomb, and now NKT are running for the hills. It's not what they expected to happen there. Good plays. Now they have this pressure. They could attempt a tower take. This would mean a lot for the scaling comp. Tower's getting fairly low. That is going to go down. Surprising misstep from NKT. Results in a tower loss. You know, they saw Ariana Grande get caught out there. They wanted to try to save her, and you know, they went in one at a time. It's one of those moments where you feel bad, but you just have to let your teammate die. Otherwise, you lose more lives than you need to. And that was a textbook example. Very smart from T7 to attempt some vision coverage with that tower take. However, NKT's support Cracked Apple is keen to it himself. Takes out some of those wards. On the way out, though, T7 did get any coverage over Baron, so a little bit poor from them. Although I do believe they had enough wards. All of them are still sitting on their warding totems. As this, I believe it is an Infernal Drake. Gonna be a Cloud Drake, my favorite. Spawning up next in approximately 30 seconds. We are gonna see a potential engage here. Ezreal sneaking around. Now it is worth noting that T7 doesn't really have a true tank, at least not yet. Native Wolf is going to become their main tank, but as it stands right now, he's an off tank picked for that lane. Rather, picked for the lane dominance. It didn't really show here as Gamma Chaos is still winning out that lane. 2-1-0, 20 CS lead over Native Wolf. So it's 500 gold, so not too substantial. It doesn't really, it's not like it's a huge item lead, but it's large enough, especially with Fiora, where it's extremely significant. Very many members on T7 look like they're prowling around looking for potential engage. Can't find anything though. Not really sure that's what they want to be going for here anyway. And here's Native Wolf on the Cracked Apple. Cracked Apple trying to clear out those wards. There's a cut out here, but meanwhile, Asgard is actually taking that Cloud Drake. Doesn't mean too much in this game. Cloud Drake interactions are one of my favorite things. You know, people always hate on it. Ooh, actually, never mind. Jazz trying to chunk out Crusher the Bomb with that Nether Grasp into a combo. Cracked Apple though. Similarly caught as this mid tower gets very low, as well as Jazz. He could be getting Shockwave here. Yes, goes right through the barrier, and he's gonna go down here. That's gonna mean potential mid lane tower, but actually NKT is calling on for the Baron. T7 are gonna trade it though. So they get the tower, but this is that Baron going extremely low. I don't think they want to make this trade. I don't know about you guys, but I would take Baron for an inner tower any day. If you remember, it's going to recall off that one, but they don't need many more to take down this mid lane tower. It's really low. Yeah, all he needs about 2 hits. Boom! Called it, 2 hits. Thanks, King Arya. So looking at the item builds, King Arya actually went with a pretty interesting one in my opinion. Titanic Hydra, haven't normally seen that. Tankier build, I like it. It's a good adaptation considering the damage that is on the side of NKT, or T7 rather. He doesn't want to be getting blown up in these fights. Looks like he's also building towards Trinity Force, which is pretty cool as well. It's a little bit of a late game scaling build in and of itself, considering how expensive those items are. Don't think it's going to mean much. They're in a pretty good position for him to be building a scaling build like that, which is with the lead that they have. However, it is dwindled just a little bit. Looks like it's about 2.5k, 3k gold leads, down from 5,000 towards 15 minutes. But barring those difficulties, oh, crush of the bomb, overstepping his boundaries. Classic getting caught out while trying to farm. Aetherguard is going absolutely massive. Flashes over so that he follows the blast cone. What a genius play. Now he's just gonna stab, stab, stab on a cracked apple. Where is the backup? They're coming around the other side of the Baron pit, but Aetherguard knows that they're there and he's gonna be running in retreat. Some good hindsight and intuition from him to realize that overextended just a little bit too much, and he's probably gonna have some backup on the way. Game on Chaos and the rest of NKT looked like they wanted to posture it for an engage, but explosive Venom Cask stops them in their tracks, and this could be the potential siege. They do have the Baron buff. Oh my goodness, and that was a huge chunk down onto Azrael, and he goes down very easily. It is going to mean first inner tower to fall. They could potentially go for the inhibitor tower, but it looks like that's going to be the case. So you guys might be wondering yourselves, where do T7 pull this one back? Well, to that I say, they try to make things like this happen. You can go for some cheeky engages, but these cheeky engages are working towards their detriment. It seems this is a very tense moment. Both teams are just waiting for the other one to pull the trigger on this engage. Ariana Grande getting very low. Carries relatively low, but again, Aetherguard follows the blast cone, but it could spell his death. How he's now split himself off from the rest of the team. He's doing a lot of work here. A lot of damage is going down on the Crusher. It's not going to be enough though. Takes out the clone and King Arya. Native Wolf goes down himself, and on the left side of your screen you'll see Gamma Chaos just getting the runaround on the rest of T7. They're now in hot pursuit of their fallen, soon to be fallen mid laner, but it's going to go down. For some reason, Director King keeps going back to the dead bodies. That's really weird. I think Director King might have some sort of necrophilia fetish. However, gonna get back to the game as I digress. Pressure mounting for NKT. So we're really clearing their waves, trying to look for a fight. So we take stock once more, cresting this 30-minute mark. Items on the side of T7. Ezreal, luckily for them, has gotten their Renon's Bork spike. Native Wolf's getting a little bit tankier to try to sustain through all the damage. And it's almost like Ezreal is caught up, nearly caught up to Crush of the Bomb. I mean, he was 5-0 earlier, now is 5-4. The dive from Aetherguard is working in the favor of T7. Both teams pathing down towards this bot side for this for Infernal Drake rather. It's pretty important for both sides. Classic. Infernal Drake gives you more damage. Who doesn't love more damage? However, though, on the top side, Gamma Chaos is actually split pushing it out. Does have teleport, so can join the fight if needed. Native Wolf on the bottom side, though, is not going to be able to respond to this, so this is really poor macro play from T7. Putting their top laner down bot side. While he has teleport, he needs to be topside to counteract that pressure. This could be a very huge potential loss for T7. Gamma Chaos now onto that turret. It's going to chunk it very low. There has to be a decision made here. T7, what is your response? You're losing towers. Could this be the engage? Israel's stealthing, trying to look for something, but there's so many boxes to protect them. Luckily, the nether crabs are going to stop a lot of that, but they're getting chunked very low. Native forced to burn that teleport to try to respond to the pressure. Trying to start it up, but ultimately net win for NKT. A poor lane allocation. They definitely cannot take this dragon. Yeah, they're smartly going to pull off of it. I think that's NKT's dragon. Doesn't look like Arthurgard wants to go for a steal here, but he's actually going to go in. Doesn't get it. Crushes the bomb with the good rend. Steals that dragon away. Also loses 2 kills in the process. Oh, but a good 2-man shockwave is going to chunk the rest of T7 down, and there goes Gamma Chaos to clean that one up. Now Country Boy is going to fall himself. The inevitable death, unfortunately. And look, the lone T7 member running back to his fountain. Yeah, this is just going to be an easy siege. Not really sure how much Native Wolf can do for this. They're just going to dive him out, I believe. Yep. Easy dive to get that tower, try to zone him off it. It's going to go down too. That is going to be the clean ace. Not a single member lost in any of that. So you can see the members of T7 responding. And it's really just the comp that T7 drafted. They drafted for a late game with Xinjiao, Malzahar, Twitch, but they didn't draft any sort of engage to facilitate that power spike or that scaling. So they have Zillion. If they had gone something with like an Alistair, I think would have worked a little bit better. However, it wouldn't have given Azrael as much peel. While I'm talking about this though, easy Baron pickup for NKT. Let's pretty much just pick that one up. I mean, they have all the pressure in every single lane. Even if T7 go to try to contest that, it's extremely easy for NKT to win the fight afterwards, even if they steal it, or if they don't get it, can still win the fight. They are so strong right now. And Directed Can is acting up today. I think I have to hold it. Let me try holding it. Yes. LCS dudes have observers. I have me, myself, and I on the solo cast. So lonely. Guess I have Twitch chat to keep me company. What are you guys up to in Twitch chat? Nothing much, nothing much. Cool, cool, cool. So yeah, Baron buff now onto NKT. They're going to be looking to shove out these side waves. They don't need to go mid. They already have that inhibitor down. You see Crusher the Bombs going up top side. Shove that one out. Gamma Chaos in that bot lane. That Baron buff is going to be extremely hard to push up against. Would probably lose that duel as well. And this is just kind of the slow bleed out of T7. As Jazz looks like he might be getting caught out here. Ooh, good concussive blows, goes over the wall, and there's the shockwave, and a burst of damage goes down. Yeah, pretty easy pickup, just kind of overstaying where he should have been. To extend into that lane. Athergard wants to try to make a response here, but they're late to the party. Well, that tower is going very, very low. So many members on the side of NKT fed, and it shows right there in the explosion that was Native Wolf. Athergard now trying to get on to Crusher the Bomb, but the bomb gets a taste of his own medicine. The Zillion Bomb finishes him off, and now it seems they've done a lane swap. NKT on T7's side, and now here comes the ensuing fight. Glacial Fisher goes down to try to CC the members and save a few, but 2 more go down on the side of NKT. Passive is going to be popped, but Athergard here is running amok. Takes down Cracked Apple in a 2-for-2 trade. However, T7's base is falling apart while that is happening. Now they have their solo laners ripping apart these towers. That's going to be the first tower to fall. Next Nexus tower to fall. Is it going to go down though? Ulti comes down. The Grand Challenge is popped onto Jazz. It's just a sliver of HP. This is going to be an amazing defense from T7. Gamma Chaos respawning after the GA, and he's actually going to be able to riposte the stun. Gets the Nexus to half health. Oh, very nearly, but goes down. That's actually going to be a clean, nearly clean. They lost 3 members within that. And that's just going to be sort of base defense. They don't really have towers to defend anymore. And NKT are just going to try to farm it up. Really just walk at him, and what more do they have to do? Look how low this Nexus is. And especially as 5 with how fed they are and how many 80 champions they have, it's not going to be difficult getting that thing down. Yeah, 36 minutes. As you can see, NKT sort of farming it out a little bit. Pick up their buffs. They're not really in a rush. 3 inhibitors down, but we've seen teams come back from this sort of thing, so really would like to see NKT pay a little bit more respect to their opponents to try to close this one out. There is definitely potential though for a comeback if you are T7. And we've seen Athrogard just continually diving Crush to the bomb. He's pretty much the whole reason she's been dying as much as she has. And if he can continue to doing that, that is kind of the team fight victory. But even if you do take out that Kalista, still Orianna, Shaco, Fiora, all these late game threats. I mean, Shaco less so, but still these damage powerhouses that'll still give the runaround to the rest of your team. The inhibitor did respawn and took that one fairly easily. This is this tense moment. Can T7 make this base defense? We are seeing the Fate's Call get pulled out. And Azrael gets chunked so low. Athrogard is doing what he can. Nethergrass goes down onto Crusher. The bomb, he goes down as well. But Gamma Chaos is in the back, just deleting people. Triple kill for Gamma Chaos. That will be game 1. Going over to NKT. A little bit of a roller coaster fashion with the pause. Starting it into a 4v5. But ultimately, they snowball their lead. Kind of crush that comp that T7 drafted for. Late game not working in their favor. Gonna look at the damage charts here real quick. Oh, Jazz actually had a huge damage contribution. It was a lot of those silences and getting the drains onto people when people were standing around the minion waves as they were falling. And similarly, well, I'm actually impressed that Jazz is able to get more damage down than the Orianna. It's kind of surprising, but when you consider that Orianna is a little bit more bursty, you know, those combos, whereas Jazz on his Malzahar has a lot more consistent damage with the drains. It takes for a lot longer and it's easier for him to poke. But there's your damage charts. Let's look at the vision. Vision's always a good stat. Yeah, so really not too much here. Standard on both sides. Would like to see a little bit more prioritization of taking out wards. I believe both teams ended up only with 1 sweeper. No, wow, actually 3 sweepers on the side of T7, which is extremely good. So, you know, that's one of the key things when you're getting snowballed on, is try to stop that vision from getting deep in there so they can make picks when they're trying to pressure into your jungle. However, that will do it for game 1 of the series between T7 and NKT. We will be right back. I should say I will be right back for game 2.